In response to that paper, the government set up the Committee on Medical Aspects of Radiation in the Environment. That committee confirmed that there is an excess of childhood leukemia near Sellafield, but it concluded that the cause of that leukemia remains unknown. They hand-waved it away and said, nah, radiation exposure there is too low to explain that cluster couldn't be Sellafield. In 2024, the International Journal of Radiation Biology concluded its own independent systemic review of the literature, and they concluded the intergenerational effects of parental radiation exposure in humans, and I quote, remains poorly understood and controversial. In plain terms, we don't know because we are not studying it. The cluster of childhood leukemia around Sellafield is real, is documented, is acknowledged by the government. The British Empire trick being applied here is that they refuse to say what's causing it, when what's causing it is obvious. This review found that there has been no standardization of approach between any of the studies on this topic. Each study into it has been designed completely differently. There has been no sharing of primary datasets among researchers. Researchers cannot pool the underlying data to understand what's happening. But Palantir can. What the fuck? They are working off each other's already published summaries. The dose estimates that the British government said are too low to ever possibly be causing this leukemia are for the population as a whole. They didn't look at individuals. That obviously skews the data because not everybody lives near Sellafield. What they found is that the data to actually answer this question exists, but it isn't shared, it isn't standardized, it isn't structured in a way that would let anybody confirm or rule out anything. And that alone tells you they know exactly what that data would say. Then in April 2007, The Observer published something gory. They revealed that during the 1960s, volunteer Sellafield workers had participated in secret Cold War experiments to assess the biological effect of exposure to radioactive substances, including ingesting. Between 1960 and 1991, organs were taken from the bodies of 76 nuclear workers, 64 of them at Sellafield, without their families' consent. Livers in all cases, lungs in all but one, vertebrae, ribs, brains, even their testicles. Families found out decades later that the bones of their loved ones had been replaced with broomstick handles so that no one would notice at the funeral. In the words of the families through their lawyer, bodies had been treated as a commodity by an old boys club of pathologists, coroners and scientists at Sellafield. Their stated motive for even cooperating with the later inquiry on this was because they wanted to disprove the link between cancer and radiation. So when they say that the science on whether radiation exposure causes leukemia is unclear, what they really mean is we took the tissues of our dead workers without asking their families and we hold the data on exactly what the impacts of radiation poison are. We don't want to share that data, and we have arranged so that the categories that need to fit together to answer that question are scattered so that it cannot ever be re-asked easily by anyone ever again. Despite those leaks, Sellafield Limited has just signed a 10-year extension with TEPCO, the operator of the Fukushima plant. The NDA, who are supposed to be decommissioning nuclear, just approved a deal to bring more Japanese spent fuel into Sellafield. They are not cleaning up anything. They are charging the taxpayer the privilege for making it worse. The operator of Fukushima and the operator of Sellafield have a formal, decade-long agreement on how to communicate with their communities. This is not Skillshare on engineering or safety. It is on stakeholder communications. Paul Vallance, who has moved from British Nuclear Fuels Limited to Rolls-Royce to the NDA, who now sits on Sellafield's board, has a stakeholder relations content swap with his counterpart in Japan, who ran the same function for the company that caused the worst civilian nuclear accident of our lifetimes. Fukushima denied the extent of the damage for decades and is currently dumping treated water directly into the Pacific, despite the objections of Japanese people and its neighbours. This agreement covers site operations, environmental monitoring, radiation protection, project management, and procurement. This is not a collaboration between two organisations who want to get better at nuclear safety. This is a collaboration between the two organisations who are directly responsible for both of the most dangerous nuclear clean-up jobs on Earth. And they are not comparing notes on how to make these plants safer, they are comparing notes on how to manage the public better. Lie to you better about the reality of the fact that because of them and their lies, we could all be dead soon. And that is not hyperbole, that is science, and I will explain that science in a separate video. The other thing that they will not tell you, but I have to, is that the reassurance and mortgage markets are pulling out of these areas. Every UK home insurance policy excludes radioactive contamination. Virtually all UK property insurance policies exclude radioactive contamination unless you buy a specialty policy. The market is still not pricing the risk correctly because it is excluding a huge amount of information about that risk. The people who live in West Cumbria are about to discover something about the insurance industry that the Treasury is afraid of them finding out. Your home is not insured against the thing that is about to destroy it. When the tide starts to deposit this contaminated mud onto your building, your insurance won't pay out. And if you cannot insure a property, you cannot mortgage it. And so it seems unlikely that you will then be able to sell that home. It also feels ethically wrong to sell it on, but it's also ethically wrong to leave you in it. The regulator has already accepted that Drigg will be eroded by the sea. This is in the operator's own environmental safety case for the low-level waste repository at Drigg, published in 2011. We have concluded that the site will be eroded within a few hundred years, and the consequent disruption to the repository, which is the distribution of the site's shit inland, is, and I quote, at some point in the future an acceptable risk. Even Flood RE, the state-backed reassurance pool created in 2016 because of climate change, has admitted that over 1.7 million UK homes fall outside this scheme. They don't cover coastal erosion. There is no equivalent national scheme for coastal erosion or nuclear contamination. There are over 10,000 homes at direct risk if a serious release from Sellafield. That doesn't account for the slow death that's already happening as the water seeps into the ground. If it boom, there is no insurance product, no operator liability, they don't have to pay for it, and no automatic state guarantee that fills the gap between what the damage will cost you, the homeowner, and what the system is willing to pay out. The homeowner is being left to stand alone effectively, while the plants get wrapped in subsidies and huge public relations budgets. I appreciate that this is a lot of emotional information for people, and I want to just put the helpline numbers here on screen for you if you feel like you need them. This is happening because $1 trillion propaganda machine has made sure that no one knows about it and no one fully understands the danger. So I need you to share these videos with as many people as you can. I have a whole comms pack that I'm going to put in my Discord, and there are parts of it that require graphic design support. So if that's you, step up, please. There's nothing stopping you learning more yourself, pressuring your MPs, and getting the wheels turned on this immediately. Tomorrow, or when I feel mentally up to it again, I'm going to make more videos that talk about the true scale of the risk and the timeline. There is no reason to have existential dread. It is very scary, but we are still in the window of hope. But that window is closing every day, and the people with the power to do something about it seem to want to kill us. So fuck that, off with their heads.